This is Peyton Gendron, a 19-year-old man who unleashed terror on the Buffalo community. Gendron embarked on a racially charged rampage inside a local supermarket. Within moments, the lives of innocent individuals were shattered. As the dust settled, the grim reality emerged. Gendron had mercilessly claimed the lives of 10 people, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. In addition, he stepped outside and unleashed a hail of bullets against 3 more unsuspecting victims. A retired police officer and a security guard risked their lives trying to stop Peyton by charging at him. But Gendron, prepared for any situation, was wearing a bulletproof vest. Finally, they managed to apprehend him. Gendron faced the consequence of his despicable actions in a court of law. Charged with 27 counts of federal indictment, Gendron was accused of committing a hate crime targeting the black community. The charges encompassed the 10 lives he callously extinguished and firearm-related offenses. The judge clearly expressed her disgust in the sentence.
Mr. Gendron, please stand. The damage you have caused is too great, and the people you have hurt are too valuable to this community. You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again.
The courtroom became a cauldron of emotions as survivors and grieving family members shared their impactful statements. Their pain was tangible.
I've never been able to see her or touch her after that day.
Racism adds another level of sickness to a crime, especially in the case of Sophia Rosing. It was a calm evening at the University of Kentucky when Rosing confronted her fellow student, Kyla Spring, unleashing a barrage of racial slurs and her fury. Her intoxicated anger knew no bounds.
Could you stop? No. Thank you. I'm getting lost in the world. I did not get paid enough for this. Exactly.
The police arrived to intervene, arresting her. Yet strangely enough, this didn't stop Sophia from unleashing her rage against the officers. The court case shed light on Rosing's actions and held her accountable for her crimes. After a thorough legal battle, Sophia Rosing was convicted on multiple charges, including assault on a police officer, assault on Kyla Spring, disorderly conduct, and alcohol intoxication. In addition to this, she was banned from campus. However, the drama doesn't end here. Rosing's trial was initially scheduled for May of 2023, but has been postponed, leaving us with unanswered questions. What does the future hold for this racial offender? Our mission here is not only to expose the darkness, but also to highlight the resilience of those who face such discrimination.
I was physically, verbally, and racially assaulted by Jane Doe, aka Sophia Rosing.
If you thought this drunken attack was bad, wait until you hear the chilling case of Jeremy Christian. What happens when a hate-filled rant turns into a brutal tragedy? Before the incident, Jeremy had already been arrested for criminal activities, spending 8 years behind bars.
Oh, it's like we got a Christian or Muslim bus driver, I'll stab you too. Move forward. Move forward, Max driver. I'm about to stab. Call the police. I dare you.
Apparently, this didn't deter him from committing further crimes. On Thursday, May 25th, on a crowded train, Christian unleashed a barrage of racist comments directed at people of color, Jews, and Muslims. A brave woman intervened to challenge his venomous diatribe, unaware of the impending danger. He attempted to assault her, hitting her head and hurling insults. The next day, fueled by intolerance and anger, Jeremy returned to the train. His target? 2 innocent girls, one African American and one from Somalia. 3 brave men confronted Christian, standing in his way between him and the 2 girls, starting a hellish ordeal. Jeremy pulled out a knife and attacked the 3 men. 2 lives were lost. Talishan Namkai Meshe and Ricky Best tragically succumbed to Christian's knife, while Micah Fletcher miraculously survived. Jeremy's character was revealed further throughout the trial, threatening to kill a witness. Jeremy played the full force of the law.
Everybody knows you're alive! Everybody knows you're alive!
The judge handed down 2 consecutive life sentences without parole for the first-degree murders and showed no remorse. The court also ensured that Christian paid for his hate crimes and assault on innocent bystanders with an additional 25 years behind bars. Justice? Perhaps. But now, what happens when a delusional supremacist meets protesters? Like Mike Bartlett, a name that will always be associated with an act of racial aggression that tested the boundaries of the law. It all began on the Brickell Bridge, where brave teenagers gathered to raise their voices against housing development in Liberty City. As they pedaled their bikes, determination on their faces, the storm unleashed. A furious shout pierced the air, accompanied by a chilling echo of racial slurs. Mark Bartlett, armed with a gun and fueled by blind rage, arrived on the scene.
Losers! You ran over my foot!
Mark Bartlett faced the consequences of his actions. Charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault with prejudice, a second-degree felony, and carrying a concealed firearm without a permit, he sought refuge in the controversial Stand Your Ground defense.
I pulled a gun out because they surrounded my fiance. I didn't pull the gun out because I'm stuck in traffic.
A guilty plea deal emerged. Mark, the perpetrator of hate-driven terror, was sentenced to 20 years of probation. As part of his guilty plea deal, Mark Bartlett must never have contact with his victims again. Additionally, he must complete 320 hours of community service, undergo anger management classes, and receive racial sensitivity training. Failure to comply with these terms could result in a 55-year imprisonment. Some wondered if this was enough, much like Amber Rocco, a 39-year-old woman whose repugnant outburst captured on camera left many questioning the depths of human hatred. It was a sunny day in a crowded parking lot when a couple stopped beside Amber, unaware they would become targets of her vile racist diatribe. Amber's hatred manifested into physical aggression. She subjected the man to slaps and spat on him, brandishing a menacing knife in her hand. What drives a person to unleash such venom upon innocent strangers? Was it deep-rooted prejudice or something entirely different?
It's really trying to stab him just because.
No, I
yeah, you
stepped
are.
up and it's called self-defense,
Yeah,
you stupid
Who the f you calling a nigger?
You motherfucker!
You're racist as fuck. What the f? Oh my god. Oh, roll the window up.
Let's focus on the courtroom where Amber faced multiple charges: unlawful use of a weapon, 4th-degree assault, second-degree intimidation, menacing, and harassment added up to 10 criminal counts on her record. Amber received a 30-day jail sentence and 3 years of probation. Some may argue that the punishment doesn't fit the severity of her actions. Was justice served in this case? Was it enough? We'll leave it to your judgment. Discrimination is repulsive, and these cases have demonstrated it. But they don't stop there. Todd M. Jameson is the protagonist of another shocking case that exposes the ugly face of racism. It all started when a storm of racially charged messages and phone calls descended upon Brown's Funeral Home and Brown Hutcherson Ministries, 2 pillars of the community. What's strange? It suspiciously happened right after the expulsion of 2 individuals from the church on November 14. When news of these hate-filled messages reached the pastor, he wasted no time contacting the authorities, determined to bring the perpetrator to justice. The police quickly identified the culprit behind the threatening messages, and to the surprise of many, it was Todd Jameson. The gravity of Todd M. Jameson's actions became apparent in the courtroom. The judge, seeking to deliver a fitting punishment, sentenced him to 16 months to 2 years in prison and imposed a hefty $5,000 fine for his crime of ethnic intimidation. It's worth noting that the judge wished to impose a more severe penalty.
If I had to give a profile of who would be a mass murderer, that would be you right now.
Still, Michigan's ethnic intimidation law limited the punishment to its maximum extent. The court vehemently rejected Todd's plea agreement, which sought a mere 9 months behind bars. Michigan's ethnic intimidation law has been in effect for over 3 decades, making it a crime to harass someone based on race, color, religion, gender, or national origin. This law is a powerful reminder that our society will not tolerate such acts of hatred and discrimination. Some sentences just don't seem harsh enough. much like the shocking case of Susan Lorenz, a 58-year-old woman responsible for the death of Ajike Owens, a single mother of 4 children. For many years, Susan has been involved in constant disputes with Ajike because, according to Lorenz, Ajike's children, 3 boys and a girl, have continuously trespassed into her garden, entering her property. These disputes never went anywhere until that fateful day. Tensions had escalated. Desperate and terrified, Susan called the authorities, claiming that the children were trespassing on her property again.
Oh my God, this lady just tried to break down my door.
Okay, what's going on? Take a deep breath for me. Calm down.
Oh my God.
You said someone tried to break down your door, is that correct?
Yes.
You said you shot at the door, is that correct?
Yes, I shot at the door because she wouldn't stop.
Lorenz even went as far as assaulting one of the children by throwing a skateboard at him. When Ajike found out, she went to confront Susan about the incident. Little did she know that this confrontation would have devastating consequences for her. Anger, frustration, and pain reached a critical point for both women. Ajike shouted and pounded on Susan's door. Desperate and feeling threatened, Susan grabbed a gun and shot through the door, hitting Ajike in the chest. Later, after being arrested, the judicial process for her case began, initiating a chilling clash between self-defense and a mother's quest for justice. Using the stand your ground law as her defense, Susan claimed she feared for her safety. However, the court dismissed this claim. Although the court couldn't gather enough evidence to support a charge of second-degree murder, Susan faced charges of assault and manslaughter with a gun. To the dismay of Ajike's family, Susan was granted a $154,000 bond, leaving them with a sense of injustice and unshakable grief. Cases like this make you wonder how sickening occurrences happen between neighbors, much like Michael Amatullo, a man whose actions left scars on the lives of 2 brothers. What could have driven Amatullo to commit such a heinous act? One of the children, a neighbor of Amatullo, was taking out the trash when he was confronted by Amatullo using racist insults. When the 7-year-old child's older brother arrived, Michael also yelled at him. The 2 brothers found themselves face to face with pure evil when Amatullo confronted them with a butcher's knife. Can you imagine the fear racing through their young hearts? Swiftly, they sought refuge. Running up the stairs of their apartment, desperately seeking their salvation, they dialed 911. How would you react in the face of such terror? Amatullo also called 911. Even so, the police arrested him. They asked him if he considered himself a racist. Michael didn't respond, instead taking his anger out on him by throwing racist slurs left and right, clarifying his motives. Amatullo was brought before the court. He was found guilty of multiple charges, including unlawful use of a weapon and hate crimes, so his fate was sealed.
I was also impressed with the fact that he had the thought to independently call 911 to make sure they understood what the other side of it was. Because for any 15-year-old, when they see a 16-year-old man calling 911, calling authority, at 15, you tend to think that that person's word is going to be taken as the truth, not yours. Perhaps even more so when you're African American. You said in your letter that you're not racist. I cannot understand, it's just sort of the reality that people who are racist don't admit it to themselves, don't want to own up to responsibility for it because it has such a social stigma.
Amatullo's defense crumbled under the weight of the evidence. Blaming the innocent brothers, he claimed their mere presence provoked him. The gavel fell, sentencing Amatullo to 3 long years behind bars, a small victory for justice and an indelible scar on the lives of the 2 children. The world can be unjust, and more so the criminals within it, much like these cases here.